What's up guys, it's R13 and welcome to another Gunpla review. Today we will be reviewing the HGUC Sazabi that was released back in 2008 with a price tag of 2,800 yen. I recently just got this unit and immediately reviewed it. I've been kind of wanting this the HG unit for quite a while now, even after getting the real grade. And we're kind of going backwards here because well, as I mentioned during the unboxing, we will be reviewing a classic kit also. This one here is a re-release for later on. So just telling you guys now that special project coming up for a side-by-side comparison. Okay, so let's go on ahead and review the HGUC Sazabi here. Okay, we're going to start off with the details for this unit here. As you guys can see, it is very basic. And a few things that I will actually mention this right away is the stickers. There's actually not a whole lot of stickers here. And if you guys watch my unboxing, and it's going to be in the link is in the description below, you guys can check that out. And here is the sticker sheet. And that's it. Nothing else. So you guys will actually have to do some panel lining, add a little bit of paint, minor touch up to give this unit a more livelier look, to give this a more badass look. Now the other thing that I do want to mention is there's not a whole lot of panel lines here, so this unit is actually a really good unit to actually do your scribing. Now just to let you know, this unit is actually kind of hard to come by, and the price tag itself it is a little bit pricey, and depending on location this can be very expensive. Now I do have my real grade Sazabi right beside me, and I'll show you guys the differences right away. Okay, as you guys can see, one look alone you guys can already tell the differences there. Let's just put this up a little bit. There you go. Okay, so you guys can see they are almost at the same size. Maybe the way I actually had it positioned gives the real grade a bigger look, but as you guys just can see here, it's the differences are there. As I mentioned already, the Sazabi here, high grade, you can use this to do panel line and add more detail any way you like. Okay, so that's it for a quick side-by-side comparison for this unit here. I do have a special project that I actually will mention to you in a moment here. And before I I'm just gonna finish showing you guys the difference when it comes to the details here. Okay, actually I'm gonna bring back the real grade here real quick, and just to show you guys the other difference here. Okay, as you guys can see, the thrusters for the real grade is actually a lot bigger. Yeah, longer. Real interesting. Yeah, the Bandai actually, I really appreciate how much Bandai had put into their work just to provide us with the best products out there. Really appreciate it. Special shout out to Bandai. Okay, yeah, as you guys can see, here is the rest of the look for the details here. Again, not a whole lot, but this is actually a great way to actually do some scribing and panel lining. Now, the one that I'm actually about to mention to you is this will not just be a side-by-side comparison, but more like a side-by-side comparison. So what I actually have here right now is a reprint of the classic 1988 1144 Sazabi, which will be done later on. And I'm actually quite excited. One of the reasons, yeah, the moment I got the real grade Sazabi, I made the decision to, you know what, to just show you guys the differences when it comes to 1988, 2008, and now 2018. Wow. Yeah, so there's practically a 20-year gap for 88 and 2008, and a 10-year gap between 2008 and 2018. Okay, now let's go to the extra parts here, shall we? Now, the first thing that I'm going to show you guys here are the bits here. And here it is. it actually comes with 6 propelled bits, and the downside to this is it doesn't actually come with the effect parts, so you guys will actually have to create your own, and there's already a slot inside here, so it should be okay. And it's actually quite nice. You can actually add some details here if you want. Now up next is the beam Tomahawk effect parts here. I'll show you guys the weapons after this, after the extra parts. This is the clear parts here for the beam Tomahawk. And then up next is the beam Sabers. Now there's no slot for the beam Sabers, so you guys will actually have to set this aside. The beam saber handle. And then up next is the hands here. As you guys can see, I'm actually using the right hand trigger, and this is for the right hand beam saber handle. And then you got your open left palm, which is actually quite nice. Okay, so up next is the weapon system here. Now for the weapon system, it's actually going to be very simple here. We're going to start off with the beam shot rifle that is already equipped. And then up next is the beam Tomahawk, which I'm actually currently equipped right now on the shield here. Okay, and here it is. And now there's actually a small slot here in the handle, and there's a to actually secure it properly. Okay, you get your beam Tomahawk here, and you get actually 2 options here. You can equip this, turn it into a axe, or a bigger model here, which is actually not bad. Okay, and now up next is what do you call that now? The shield itself here, and it actually comes with a missile. And it actually it doesn't have the Zion insignia here, and there's your missiles there, and here is the rest of the details. It's actually not that bad. Okay, now for the other parts here, the other bits, this is where the other bits is, and I've this is one of the few things I like about this is they actually did add some details here, which is actually quite nice. So this tree here is actually all together, but the details there is actually quite nice. Really bad, really not that bad actually. Movable parts. Okay, now that is actually and beam particle, mega beam particle. Can't believe I forgot that. Okay, so the mega beam particle is actually in the torso area there. That's another weapon, and if you guys actually watch Char's counterattack, it will actually give you guys the rest of the details here. Okay, now one last thing that I actually do want to mention is for the shield here. So you guys can see this is for the shield. You can actually have it the shield at the back or at the side, which is actually quite nice. Okay, now up next is what I want to do. I'll be doing is the articulation test, and I will be taking this apart. Okay, now let's take this thing apart here, shall we? Articulation test time. We're gonna start off with the backpack here. Now for the backpack, it actually has some articulation here. And there's a nub there, as you guys can see, which is actually quite nice. And this piece here, where the bits, it actually moves. And this one here is a little bit, okay, movable parts, really nice. Okay, now up next is the thrusters here. The thrusters is actually movable as well, which is actually quite nice. And Okay, just very short. I feel the need to actually extend this, but I won't. I'm just gonna give this the basic detailing, and that's it. Okay, now up next is the headpiece here. Now the headpiece actually got really good articulation here. Okay, and now the next part that I actually want to show you guys is you can actually remove the headpiece, and let's see if I can zoom in here. Okay, now as you guys can see here, you get the mono eye, and I believe you can actually move it around. I'm actually doing it wrong now. Okay, there you go. You can actually move it around, which is actually really nice. But limited mobility there, and you got to be a little bit careful. And putting this back should be very simple. Okay, there you go. And oops, let's just remove the whole headpiece here since I'm already taking this apart. Oops. Okay, now let's put this together. Okay, there we go. Okay, now for the arms here. Now you get the thrusters there, the shoulder, and limited up and down there. Actually, no, I was wrong there, as you guys can see. But then I'm having issues with the left arm here, and I'll show you guys also the nubs and the seam lines. So this is actually not that bad, easily fixable. And then sadly it's not double jointed, so that's a limited articulation there. But then as you guys can see, there's actually very basic details. Okay, for the hand here, you get good mobility. Now at least the important part is this is not the ball joint, which is actually one of the things I actually like. Now for the torso itself, as you guys can see, it's actually really not that bad. Okay, it can actually rotate. Now the side skirt is actually getting in the way, which is actually fine, but it actually got some really good rotation there. Okay, and as you guys can see, it's a ball joint for the connector. Now let's just lower this down a bit. And for the skirt here, the front skirt actually moves. As always, really good mobility. Okay, side skirt, really good mobility. Back skirt, it actually moves. You don't see that every day on a high grade. Okay, and now for the legs here. Now sadly the legs is actually a ball joint, as you guys can see there. Now we will remove this piece here. I do have a little bit of an issue there. It might actually fall off sometimes. You actually get to push it in very hard. And this is actually not double jointed, sadly. So limited articulation there. And the feet actually get some good, decent articulation, as you guys can see. But yeah, there's actually not a whole lot of movable parts here. And now we'll go back to the skirt here. Now underneath here, it's actually, you can pull this piece out and you can actually use a basic action base, which is actually quite nice. Okay, now time for me to show you guys some of the nubs and the seam lines here. Okay, so you guys should have already seen it by now. We get some nubs and seam lines in different areas and places. Proper sanding should do the trick. We get some in the legs here, and side skirt, front skirt. It's actually they tried their best to put it in the proper location, but it is actually quite hard to do, to get rid of the nubs and the seam lines. And now for the torso here. Okay. Okay, so that's it for the articulation test and what do you call that now, and showing you guys the nubs and the seam lines. It's actually really not that bad. Now, before I actually give my final opinion on this unit here, let's put this unit back together again here. Just give me a moment. There you have it, guys, the unboxing, time-lapse, and review of the HGUC Sazabi, released in 2008 with the price tag of 2,800 yen. Now, is this unit worth getting? Yes and no. Due to the fact that this is an HG unit, and we already have a real grade Sazabi that is released in 2018 that actually have a lot more detail. This unit here is actually hard to come by, even though it's a normal release, and the price varies depending on location and website. So is this unit worth getting? Yeah, I'm still 50-50 on that, because it took me a while to get this unit here, and a friend of mine just surprised me. Okay, now I'm just going to show you guys one last time the differences between the two, and you guys can decide if you guys actually wanted to get this units here. The HG unit. So you guys can see the real grade actually got a lot more details because it's a real grade, and more slicker design compared to the high grade. But the price tag itself is very different. But again, the high grade is actually kind of hard to come by, so the price may actually go near the price of the real grade here. Yeah, and it's kind of self-explanatory already. But then the other good thing is, if you're not a fan of the real grade, you can always get the Sazabi. That's one of the plus side. And one of the things that I can actually that is a good thing about the high grade is you can actually use this to practice your panel lining and scribing, and you won't be wasting a real grade. That's how I can advise it. And again, this is hard to come by. So overall, you guys can decide if it's still worth getting the high grade, even though we already have the real grade. Now, one of the reasons why I'm not going into full details on the side-by-side comparison between the two is due to the fact that it's going to be, as I mentioned, a side-by-side comparison, and we will be doing this with 1988 classic Sazabi here. This is actually a reprint. Okay, that's all the time that I got. Thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to click that subscribe button, and have a good day, good night, afternoon, wherever you are. R13 signing out.